Her effort to hide her interest is the most powerful signal she can send you. She pulls away not because she feels nothing, but because she is trying to manage feeling far too much. You see it in the contrast, don't you? The warmth in her eyes when you're face to face, the genuine laughter that feels like it's just for you, followed by a text message hours later that is so neutral, so distant. It feels like it was written by a different person. This jarring shift is not a sign of her disinterest. It is the sound of her internal conflict. It's the battle between her impulse to draw you closer and her instinct to protect her own vulnerability. She is simultaneously drawn to you and terrified of what that attraction means. This is the paradox you feel in your gut, the dissonance between her energy and her actions, and understanding it is the first step to moving beyond the confusion she creates. If this tension feels familiar, if you've ever found yourself staring at a phone screen, completely baffled by the woman on the other end, then you are in the right place. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share your own experiences in the comments below, because what we are about to decode is the hidden language of female attraction. The mistake most men make is believing that interest is a clear, direct, and logical signal. You operate under the illusion that if she truly likes you, her actions will be an arrow pointing straight at you. So when you encounter her strategic ambiguity, the delayed replies, the non-committal answers, the casual tone that feels almost forced, you interpret it as rejection. You see it as a personal failure, a sign that you read the situation wrong, and this misinterpretation causes you to lose your confidence and react, failing the very test she is subconsciously giving you. You've seen this before. That moment when she looks at you from across the room, and her gaze lingers just a second too long before she quickly looks away, as if she was caught doing something she shouldn't. Or the way she angles her body toward you in a group, creating a subtle, invisible bubble that only includes the two of you. These are not accidents, they are leaks. They are fragments of her genuine interest, escaping the fortress of her conscious control. Her mind is telling her to be careful, to hold back, to not appear too eager. But her body betrays her. This is where the truth resides, in the micro-expressions she can't suppress, in the brief flashes of vulnerability she immediately tries to conceal. For you, this creates a maddening mix of hope and doubt, a feeling that something is there just beneath the surface, if only you could find a way to see it clearly. The truth you need to understand is this: her deliberate ambiguity times is times the signal. It is not the absence of interest, but the evidence of it. The amount of effort she invests in appearing neutral is a direct measure of the emotional storm she is trying to contain within herself. This isn't a game of disinterest. It's a high-stakes process of self-preservation. She is testing the waters, and more importantly, she is testing you. She needs to know if you are the kind of man who gets rattled by uncertainty, who needs constant validation to feel secure. Or are you the man who can stand firm in the middle of her storm, a calm presence who can lead through the fog without needing her to hand you a map? Silence isn't an empty space, it's a question. And how you respond to it will determine everything that happens next. And so the silence begins, that jarring, deafening quiet that follows a moment of intense connection. Her last text message sits there, read, with no reply. The warmth you felt when you were with her just hours ago now feels like a distant memory, a trick of the light. Your mind, conditioned for simple cause and effect, immediately defaults to the most painful and logical conclusion: she has lost. You believe attraction is a constant, a forward-moving energy, and that any pause, any deviation from that trajectory must signify its end. This is the lie, the foundational error that sends good men into a spiral of self-doubt. You perceive her silence not as a space for thought, but as a judgment on your worth, and in that single moment of misinterpretation, you begin to lose the very composure that attracted her in the first place. This is where the cycle begins, isn't it? The compulsive checking of the phone, the rereading of your last messages, analyzing every word, every emoji. For a hidden mistake, you become a detective at the scene of a crime that hasn't even been committed. This frantic search is driven by your deep-seated need for certainty, an almost primal intolerance for the unknown. Your ego cannot rest in the ambiguity of her silence, so it desperately seeks a reason, a narrative to latch onto. You believe that if you can just identify the error, you can fix it, patch the hole, and get things back on track. But you are looking for a logical solution to an emotional reality. In this desperate hunt for clues, you completely surrender your own frame. You are no longer the calm, centered man she was drawn to. You have become a reactor, an anxious problem solver, and she can feel that energetic shift even from miles away. The pressure builds until you can no longer stand it. The impulse to times do something, times becomes an overwhelming roar in your mind. You tell yourself it's just a casual check-in, a funny meme, a simple question. It feels like a small, harmless action, a way to gently nudge the connection forward. But what you are actually doing is shouting your anxiety into the void. You are sending a signal that her validation is the source of your emotional stability. You are communicating in no uncertain terms that her silence has the power to completely destabilize you. This is the test. It was never about whether she liked you. It was about whether you were strong enough to handle the intensity of her interest without needing constant reassurance. Her retreat was a subconscious question, and your needy pursuit was your definitive and failing answer. Then she finally responds, but the warmth is gone. It's been replaced by a polite, almost formal coolness. The playful energy has evaporated, leaving behind a sterile, transactional exchange. This is not because she lost interest on her own. It's because your reaction confirmed her deepest fears. Your need for certainty felt like pressure, like an emotional demand she was not ready to meet. A woman's attraction withers under the weight of a man's neediness because it forces her out of her feminine energy and into the role of an emotional caretaker. She suddenly feels responsible for managing your anxiety. That responsibility is the single greatest killer of desire. You have, in effect, created the very outcome you were trying to avoid. Your fear of her pulling away caused you to act in a way that pushed her away. It is a tragic, self-fulfilling prophecy. You see her later, perhaps in a social setting or in a story she posts online. She is laughing, vibrant, and seemingly unbothered by the chasm of silence that has grown between you. Your ego takes a direct hit. The lie whispers to you again, see, she never cared at all. You were nothing to her. You misinterpret her independence as a sign of her indifference. You believe that if she were truly interested, she would be pining, waiting, or at least showing some sign of emotional distress. But her strength, her ability to maintain her own vibrant world, is a core part of what made her attractive in the first place. You were drawn to a queen, but you panic when you realize she doesn't need you to fix her crown. Her emotional self-sufficiency doesn't diminish your value unless you allow your ego to believe that it does. This leads to the final, most predictable error. You decide to fight fire with fire. You go cold. You ignore her next message. You act distant. You manufacture an air of detached indifference. You believe you are reclaiming your power by playing her game better than she does. But this is not power. It is reactivity. It's a chess move made in direct response to hers, proving that she is still the one controlling the board. You are showing her that her actions have a direct and immediate impact on your behavior. True masculine strength is not mirroring her chaos. It is holding a center of calm, so unwavering that it invites her out of her own storm. By choosing to play the game, you abandon your role as the lighthouse and become just another ship lost in her fog. You have entered a battle of wills where the only possible outcome is a loss for both sides. Now, let us uncover the truth. The entire foundation of your confusion rests on a single, flawed assumption, that her retreat is a measure of her interest in you. The reality is the precise opposite. Her retreat is a measure of the emotional risk she feels, and that risk only exists because her interest is real, potent, and deeply unsettling to her. You must understand that a woman's primary emotional driver is the need for safety, not just physically, but emotionally. When she feels a powerful magnetic pull toward a man, an alarm bell goes off in her nervous system. This feeling is both exhilarating and terrifying. Her silence, her distance, is not a void, it is a shield. It is the space she creates to process the intensity of her own feelings before she allows them to carry her away. You are not being rejected, you are being managed. Her ambiguity is a fortress, built brick by brick from past heartbreaks, social conditioning, and a primal instinct for self-preservation. She has learned through painful experience that openly displaying her desire can be a dangerous gamble. It can attract men who are weak, who see her interest as a prize to be won and then discarded, or men who are so insecure that her validation becomes their oxygen. So she creates a filter. This elaborate dance of warm approach and cool retreat is not a game designed to toy with you. It is a sophisticated qualification process designed to protect her. She is subconsciously asking one question: are you the kind of man who will be rattled by this? Or are you the kind of man who can see the fortress and calmly wait at the gate, demonstrating through your presence that you are not a threat? Tell me if you've felt this before. That sense that you are being evaluated on a level you can't quite grasp. What you are witnessing is a war inside her. It is the raw, unfiltered evidence of cognitive dissonance. One part of her, the intuitive, feminine core, is drawn to your energy, your presence, your essence. It wants to move closer, to connect, to merge. But another part, her logical, protective mind, is screaming for caution. It's reminding her of all the reasons she should be careful, telling her not to appear too available, not to give her power away too soon. This internal conflict is what produces the mixed signals that drive you mad. The lingering glance, followed by the abrupt turn away. The deep, personal conversation, followed by a day of complete silence. She is not being inconsistent times with you, asterisk. She is being inconsistent times with herself, asterisk. And seeing this chaos, not as rejection, but as a symptom of her attraction, is the first step toward true understanding. This entire dynamic is a test, but it is not the kind of test you can study for. She is not testing your intelligence, your wealth, or your humor. She is testing something far more fundamental, the stability of your emotional center. Her subconscious is asking, can this man handle the storm that I am? Or will he become another piece of wreckage floating in my wake? When she pulls back, she is observing your reaction. Do you become anxious and chase her, proving you need her validation to feel whole? Do you become angry and punitive, proving you are emotionally fragile? Or do you remain calm, centered, and unwavering in your own purpose, demonstrating that your emotional state is not dependent on her? Her silence is the examination paper, and your response is the only answer she will accept. You must realize that a man's neediness is the most potent poison to a woman's desire. It is the emotional equivalent of kryptonite. When you chase her for reassurance, you are not communicating love or interest. You are communicating a deep, cavernous hole in your own self-worth that you expect her to fill. This instantly shifts the dynamic. She is no longer in her feminine energy, free to feel desire and attraction for you. Instead, she is forced into a masculine, managerial role, suddenly responsible for soothing your anxiety and managing your fragile ego. This is a burden, not a joy. It feels like work. Her instinctual retreat from this pressure is not a conscious choice. It is a biological imperative to protect her own emotional energy and the very spark of attraction she felt for you in the first place. Think of it this way. She creates an emotional fog. It is her natural defense, a way to obscure her true position and test the skill of any man who wishes to navigate toward her. The reactive man becomes just another lost ship in this fog. He panics. He starts frantically turning his rudder, speeding up, slowing down, sending out desperate signals, all in response to the shifting mist. He mirrors her chaos. The centered man, however, becomes the lighthouse. He does not chase the ships. He does not try to command the fog to lift. He simply stands anchored to his own foundation and shines his light, steady and predictable. His power is in his stillness, his unwavering presence. The fog does not intimidate him. He is the fixed point in her chaotic world, and that stability is the most attractive beacon she will ever see. This need for a defensive fog also serves a very practical purpose. It grants her plausible deniability. In a world of social scrutiny and emotional risk, ambiguity is her greatest ally. By never fully committing with her actions, she protects herself from the potential sting of rejection or the embarrassment of having misread the situation. If you were to react poorly or prove to be the wrong man, she can retreat and tell herself and anyone else that she was never truly interested. It was just your imagination. This isn't a malicious lie, it is an intelligent survival strategy. Your task is not to call her out on this or force her into a corner. Your task is to build such a profound sense of safety through your calm leadership that she feels for the first time that plausible deniability is no longer necessary with you. And here lies the ultimate truth that will set you free. The game was never about her. It was always about you. Your goal is not to decode her signals in order to win her approval. Your goal is to achieve such a state of inner calm and self-possession that her tests become irrelevant. True masculine power is not in the frantic pursuit of certainty, but in the quiet comfort with ambiguity. It's the ability to see her storm, to understand its origins, and to feel nothing but a calm, knowing empathy without being drawn into its vortex. When you stop needing her to be clear, you give her the space to want times to be clear. You are no longer the anxious participant hoping to pass her test. You become the serene observer, the calm center, the man who understands the dance so well that he leads without ever having to force a single step. So, what is the answer? What does the man who understands this dance do differently when that wall of silence descends? The answer is as simple as it is profound. He does nothing. But this is not the passive, anxious nothing of a man waiting for a verdict. It is the active, powerful nothing of a man who is already whole. He sees her retreat not as a rejection of him, but as a reflection of her own internal storm. He feels the space she creates, and instead of rushing to fill it with his own anxiety, he allows it to exist. He understands that the more you try to grasp water, the more it slips through your fingers. True mastery is not in forcing the outcome, but in understanding the music so well that you lead without ever demanding a step. His calm becomes a silent invitation, a space of non-pressure where her feelings are safe to unfold at their own pace. He puts the phone down. This is not a strategic move in a game of chess. It is an authentic return to his own center of gravity. His world does not shrink to the four corners of a glowing screen. His purpose, his passions, his work, these are the fixed points of his universe, and they do not dim when her attention wanes. The reactive man's emotional state is a fragile vessel, tossed about by the waves of her validation. The centered man is the anchor, his sense of self, rooted deep in the bedrock of his own life, completely independent of her currents. He is not ignoring her, he is simply honoring himself. This demonstration of a full, self-sufficient life is the most powerful signal he can send. It communicates, without a single word, that he is not a void seeking to be filled, but a source of energy she is welcome to join. When he does choose to communicate again, the energy is completely different. There is no hint of a question mark in his tone, no subtle plea for reassurance. He does not ask, "Is everything okay?" because that would be an admission that her silence had the power to make things times, not times, okay. Instead, his communication assumes that everything is fine, that attraction is still present, and that the dance is still on. He might send a message the next day that is completely unrelated to her silence, something that shares a piece of his world or references a previous point of connection. It is an offer, not a demand. He is leading the interaction forward from a place of quiet confidence, not trying to repair something he knows was never broken. You can feel the difference in this, can't you? It is the difference between a man who is asking for a map and a man who is the compass. This is the art of non-resistance. Common man sees her ambiguity as a problem to be solved, a wall to be broken down. He pushes against it with logic, with questions, with pursuit, and he exhausts himself in the effort. The emotionally centered man sees her ambiguity as a river current. He does not fight it. He does not try to swim upstream. He relaxes, floats, and allows the current to reveal its own direction. He observes her behavior with a kind of detached curiosity, not with the panicked desperation of an ego on trial. This doesn't mean he is passive or indifferent. It means his peace is not conditional. He has let go of the frantic need to control her feelings. And in that release, he finds the only true control that matters. He control over himself. His calm is not a tactic. It is a state of being. This state projects an energy that is fundamentally irresistible. A woman's nervous system is exquisitely tuned to detect a man's emotional state. When you are needy, you radiate an energy of lack, of hunger. It feels like a vacuum to her, threatening to pull her in and drain her. But when you are centered, you radiate an energy of abundance, of fullness. You become a source of stability, a safe harbor in her emotional storm. She feels this on a primal level. Your unwavering presence soothes her own internal chaos. You don't attract by chasing. You attract by becoming still enough to be seen. Your stillness communicates that you are not afraid of her intensity because you are secure in your own. You are the mountain that is unmoved by her weather, and that makes you the safest place for her to land. Ultimately, this shift transforms the entire dynamic from a test you are trying to pass into a process you are simply observing. You no longer look at her actions for clues about your own worth. Instead, you see them as information about her emotional state. You see her pull away, and your internal monologue changes from "what did I do wrong" to "ah, there is the fortress." She feels the risk because the interest is real. This moves you from the position of the judged to the position of the discerning observer. You are no longer a participant in her drama. You are the calm audience that understands the entire. This is where true masculine power resides, not in getting the girl, but in achieving a state of inner peace where her actions no longer have the power to disturb you. From this place of strength, you can lead, and in this silence, you finally see it. The entire chaotic, beautiful, maddening dance was never about decoding her. It was always about you mastering yourself. Her retreat was not a verdict on your worth. It was a mirror reflecting your own need for certainty. Every time you felt that spike of anxiety, that desperate urge to check your phone, you were being shown the exact location of the wound within you that needed to be healed. You were looking for a green light from her when the only permission you ever needed was your own. Her storm was never the problem. The problem was that you were trying to command the weather instead of learning how to become the mountain, unmovable and serene, allowing her clouds to pass without ever questioning your own solidity. The moment you stop needing her to be anything other than what she is, you become everything she needs you to be. We return, then, to where we began, but we see it with new eyes. She pulls away not because she feels nothing, but because she feels too much. Before, this was a frustrating paradox. Now, it is a compass. Her distance is no longer a measure of her interest, but a measure of the emotional safety she requires, a safety you now know how to provide, not with words or pursuit, but with your unwavering presence. The frantic need to know where the dance is going is what causes you to lose the rhythm. True mastery is found not in forcing the outcome, but in understanding the music so deeply that your stillness becomes the most powerful lead. When you let go of the need to control her, you find the only control that ever mattered, the quiet, unshakable control over your own inner world. The game ends the moment you realize you are not a player, but the board itself, her tests, her ambiguity, her silence, they lose all their power over you. They are no longer threats to your ego. but simply data points. You observe with a calm, detached empathy. You see her create a fog, and you don't panic. You simply shine your light, a steady beacon. She doesn't need your explanation for why you didn't text back. She needs to feel your stability, a presence so grounded that it makes her own anxieties feel small and manageable. This is the ultimate transformation. It is not about winning her over. It is about becoming the kind of man for whom her internal fortress no longer feels necessary. Your peace becomes the key that unlocks her gate without ever needing to ask for it. So look back now at the woman who confused you, at the silence that tormented you. See her not as an adversary, but as an unwitting teacher who revealed the path to your own center. Her chaos was a gift, an invitation to find your calm. Her distance was a challenge, a call to cultivate your own presence. The real prize was never her validation, but the quiet confidence you forged in the fire of your own uncertainty. The need to understand her is replaced by the profound peace of understanding yourself. This is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Now, with this clarity, look again. Comment what you now see in her that you couldn't before.